Guys, we are back. I told you guys I wanted to do a follow-up video on the Superleggera, and here it is. We're gonna take it out for a quick ride. We just filled it up. I mean, this bike is absolutely amazing. I can't wait to ride it every time I see it. It's absolutely insane. So let's just jump on it and we'll go for a little ride and enjoy the weather and enjoy this bike. Ducati race map. Let's see, we got 113 miles. That exhaust sounds so good. So good. Full race Acura on the 1199 Superleggera. Can be that sound. Number 178 out of 500 made for the world. This is the 2014 1199 Superleggera. Let's go. Jump on the freeway, get it up to speed, and probably take it around, take it to PCH or somewhere. What a machine! What a machine! This is quickly becoming one of my most favorite Ducatis to ride. It is absolutely amazing. And to be honest, I was on the hunt for 1199 Superleggera for quite a bit of time. I was actually pretty lucky to find this one. They do come up for sale here and there, but a lot of times it's out of state. You know, you can't really see the bike in person, you don't really know the history. And this particular bike, when it came up for sale, it was literally probably about 10-15 minutes away from my house. Gentleman bought it brand new in 2014 and put it in his collection. Never rode it. The bike had 30 miles on it, maybe rode it at least once or something at most, and literally placed it in his bike collection. So I was lucky to get it, and I got it at a considerably good price. Kind of give you an idea, these bikes are trading hands, low mile bikes like that, in the $45,000 to $50,000 range. So to be able to pick it up at anything under that, it's a really good deal. So what makes the 1199 Superleggera so special? If you think of it, back in 2014, essentially Ducati created the Superleggera. This is the first variation of the Superleggera. In 2017 we had the 1299 Superleggera. 2020 was the third generation, which was the V4R Superleggera. And rumors is they're already working on the next generation Superleggera, which will be like essentially the fourth generation. Probably is going to be out next year sometimes. That bike's obviously going to be insane, but what Ducati did is, back then, is they said like, alright, we're going to create a bike with all the best parts, you know, making it the lightest, most powerful bike at the time. So the actual specs of the bike is 200 horsepower, 205 or so with the race exhaust. Dry weight at the time the bike was 350 pounds. With all the fluids except gas, it's about 370 pounds. With gas, 385 pounds. Absolutely insane, so light. How do they achieve that? Is the bike essentially is full of carbon fiber, titanium and magnesium. all the fairings, other than the gas tank, everything is carbon fiber. Even the subframe, the thing that holds the actual seat, full carbon fiber as well. The front part where it holds the lights, and under the gas tank it's all magnesium. Same thing with the wheels, full on magnesium wheels. I'm trying to think what else, what am I missing? Swing arm is, I'm not sure actually if the swing arm is magnesium. It's something I'll check on it, or if it's forged. I know on the 1299, the next generation, they went into carbon fiber swing arm. I'm not sure about this one. I know for a fact that it is not carbon fiber, they provide me magnesium. Don't quote me on that. For those of you guys that know, please feel free to comment below. But that's essentially how they got this bike to be so light. So at the time in 2014, this bike literally rivaled the weight and power of the World Superbike bikes that were racing, you know, at the time. It's so light, it is absolutely insane. It handles, it literally handles like a bicycle, the best way to describe it. Another cool thing that I really like about this bike, you know, it's most of the other bikes nowadays, when they put a race exhaust, usually when you're downshifting, you can hear some pops and flames. With this particular bike, you actually get the pops from the exhaust on like full acceleration when you upshift. You see if you guys can hear it. So cool. The fact that you can hear the exhaust popping on the upshift is, you know, it's so exhilarating. Like every time it just, this bike puts a smile on your face every time you jump on it. As I said, it's very quickly becoming one of my favorite bikes, to the point where I'm not even riding some of my other bikes. My V4 SP2, the 916, has actually been sitting in my garage for the last 2 weeks, just because I've been riding this bike more. We're up to 120 miles. The bike is technically still in its braking period, so we're not pushing it too crazy. You know, we want to make sure everything brakes in properly. And the fact that, you know, the bike was sitting for 10 years, almost, the first thing I did is take it back to Ducati Newport Beach. They went through the whole bike, changed all the fluids, you know, coolant, oil, all the brake fluids. I mean, did a complete check on it, making sure the bike is ready, because I told them, I was like, hey, I'm buying this bike strictly for the purpose to ride it and enjoy it. I've heard it's an amazing bike, and I want to make sure I'm able to experience it. I absolutely love watching it, obviously, in the garage and staring at it with this orange paint. It just looks so good. But at the same time, I wanted to experience the performance of this bike, because that's what Ducati did in 2014. They were like, hey, we're going to make the most amazing bike at that time. Lightest, best performance, and here it is. So I had to make sure that I get to ride it. The brakes are absolutely insane as well. Obviously, it's got the best brakes that they put on the bike at the time. It's got the black O-rings, the lightest O-rings available at the time as well. And because the bike is so light, I mean, the brakes are insane. As soon as you grip on it, you can feel the bike slowing down. Another fun fact. All right, bro, you couldn't wait. Somebody looks like he's in a hurry. What was I going to say? Another fun fact. Make sure there's no cops behind us. As you guys can see, I'm missing the mirrors. I don't usually like to ride around without mirrors because, you know, I want to be able to see who's behind me if there's cops or anything like that. So I'm in the process of ordering the Rizoma mirrors. This one actually, I do have the stock mirrors, but they're kind of big and bulky, so they were taken off. Previous owner had installed the sidebar mirrors, which I'm not a big fan because it just makes the bike wider, especially if you're splitting lanes. You know, I want to have the bike as narrow as possible, so I took that off. So I'm in the process of getting the Rizoma mirrors. I'll put those on. I think they look cool, you know, kind of complement the bike, and I'm used to having them on my V4 SP2, so we'll do the same thing. But I was saying, fun fact about this bike, this is the first bike that Ducati introduced wheelie control on, which the bike definitely needs it because being so light and so powerful, first gear, second gear, if you have the wheelie control and traction control off, the front wheel wants to come up in the air. Also, the bike is equipped with quick shift, upshift. On the downshift, you do have to clutch it to be able to downshift, which is totally fine. You can actually retrofit a full-on quick shift up and down, but to me it's not that big of a deal. I don't mind having to use the clutch on the downshifts. I think it actually makes it even more fun because it makes you more engaged with the bike. One thing that I've noticed so far, this is my third ride, that the suspension is so stiff. Every bump you absolutely feel it. Last time I went on a quick ride with a bunch of my friends going to Laguna Beach on the 133, and a section of the 133 is being essentially retrofitted. They're making the road bigger, so it's a bunch of stuff on the road, but it's not super smooth like here. Going over the bumps, I could feel every single bump to the point where, you know, going over bumps, it would actually make you give it more gas or let go of the gas because the gas obviously is so sensitive on the bike. You're feeling everything. So that's one of the things that I've noticed on the bike, which I don't mind it. I love it. Obviously, this is a full-on race bike, so it was set up for the racetrack, which is smooth. But on the streets, it's one thing to be, you know, kind of conscious of it. I love the sound of it. The previous owner had a huge bike collection. He actually had the 1199, the 1299 Superleggera, and the V4 Superleggera. And because he's getting older in age, he's got a huge bike collection. He started to sell off his bikes. He already sold his V4 Superleggera. You guys have probably seen it on my previous videos. It's the one-of-one, fully carbon one. That was a Ducati Newport Beach. And he posted this particular bike for sale on Craigslist. I also asked him if he's willing to sell his 1299 Superleggera, and he said that that bike is, unfortunately, for me, it's not going anywhere. The 1299 is even more special than this, or in some cases I haven't ridden it, so I can't tell. I can only imagine how much more insane it is compared to this one because it's got even more power. That particular bike is pretty much about the same weight as the 1199, but it's up another 20 horsepower or so, 220, 225 with the race exhaust, and a little bit more torque. So I can only imagine how crazy the 1299 is compared to this bike. It is my goal to obviously add the 1299 to the collection as well. So, you know, hopefully within the next year, if we're lucky, that bike is pretty expensive. Even on the second market right now, you could probably find one within the $60,000 range, but I've seen them as high as like 70 and 80. So, you know, definitely not a cheap bike. This particular bike, when it first came out in 2014, was priced at, I believe, $70,000 or $75,000. So the fact that you can pick up one for, you know, $45,000, $50,000, it's an absolutely A deal. And to be honest, if you're willing to spend $45,000, $50,000 on a brand new Ducati V4S or V4 SP, whatever the case, or even the R, my opinion is I will go for one of these because this is so much more special. You know, only 500 were made for the world. In the US, probably, I would assume, 100 at most, who knows. And I would say that performance-wise, this bike definitely rivals the current Ducatis because it's so much lighter. Different configuration, obviously this is still the V-twin engine or the L-twin, whatever they want to call it, versus the new generation bikes and the V4. So you do have more torque there, a little bit more horsepower, but those bikes are also heavier. So especially if we're talking the latest generation V4 bikes with the double-sided swing arm, they are not my cup of tea. I prefer the older ones, stuff like this, or the last generation V4Rs. So, just my opinion, you know. Such a perfect day for a ride. It is pretty much almost December here in Southern California. But it's nice and sunny. The gear shifts are so smooth. Which obviously it's understandable because, you know, Ducati didn't get any corners on this thing. One of the other things that I really like about this bike, or that I've noticed, is how quickly it revs up, which makes sense because the engine obviously is so much, the internals of this bike compared to like a Level 99, the regular Level 99 or even the Level 99R are so much lighter. You know, they upgraded a lot of the engine parts, internals with titanium bits, so it makes everything lighter, but obviously that helps it to rev up even faster. Check out these views. December weather in Southern California. Clear views of the ocean, 1199 Superleggera. The best. Can't beat this. I definitely need some mirrors because I'm not used to riding without it. You know, every time I'm changing lanes I have to like turn around, make sure there's no cars behind me. So that's definitely something I need to do pretty soon. Man, can't wait to go do the first 500-600 miles till the bike gets to the braking period. We'll do the first service, so that way we can, you know, push it even more a little bit. I don't even think it's set on full power right now. It's got a couple of different settings as far as like the power levels they're using, like medium, high, and full. So I believe it's like on the second level of the highest. So it's got so much more to offer. But it's an expensive bike. We want to make sure we treat it right. Want to make sure it goes to the braking period correctly. Hopefully you guys can hear the exhaust from the mic. The mic is in my helmet for talking purposes obviously, so it picks up my voice, but at the same time the exhaust is all the way underneath the bike, so hopefully you can pick up how amazing the bike sounds. about the bike is the paint job. It's so orange that when you put it next to like another Ducati that's red, this bike pops up so much. And holy shit. Let's see if we can catch up to this car. That was a cool crew of cars. Let's see if we can catch up to them. I don't know which way they went, but we'll see if we can catch up to them. As I was saying, the paint job. The reason Ducati did this orange is they actually had it around that time, 2013, 2014, the MotoGP bikes were the same color, and they had to do it in this orange because when the TV cameras and photographers were essentially capturing it, it looked normal red, but somehow they had to go with this orange. Another interesting fact about it, one thing to keep in mind is because it's so bright and it's, I don't know, it's something with the paint job, I was told that try not to keep the bike on the sun too much because I guess the sun kind of affects the bike somehow. So it's just something to keep in mind. Check out some of these cars. It's a crazy looking 911. Check this thing out. Outlap. It's a wide body 911 turbo, hopefully. We got a crazy looking Benz. Old school style, probably with a new engine. Love it, 600. Let's go check out the SLR. There's a red SLR. You don't see this really often. And a wild looking Lambo Mercy. Looks like a wide body SLR. The fenders are definitely wider on the front. Check this thing out. This is insane. Looks like a full-on Brabus actually. Let's go check out the Lambo as well. Looks like the Lambo is sporting a roof scoop. And for sure a wide body as well. Montana plates, gotta love it, saving on taxes. And this thing is wild, absolutely wild. Alright, let's turn around. They're going in the wrong direction. Let them do their thing. We'll mind our business. The SLR was probably my favorite for sure. You don't see a red SLRs all the time. Another cool car, old school, 65, whatever that is. Is it a Porsche? No, Alpha perhaps. Get a little detour. Santa decorations. I said, this is the type of stuff that you see on a beautiful Saturday morning. Sun is up, people are enjoying, got their cars out, motorcycles out. Everybody's having fun. Electronics wise, let's talk about that. Electronics, like I said, this is the first bike that Ducati essentially introduced the wheelie control on, but it's got some other cool stuff. It's still got the engine braking, traction control. I believe you can set different settings for like yeah, as I said, the engine braking, it has that. ABS, different settings, and obviously engine power, or how aggressive, you know, the throttle is in the engine. It's got that stuff as well. With some of the new bikes, they're even more advanced. I mean, my particular V4S has got oh man, that sound. As I was saying, my V4S has even what they call like slide control, which is pretty cool. And the last generation, or the newest generation now, the bike even, I don't even know what they call the system, but basically what the bike does, if you go to the track, you can set it up to the point where the bike would actually apply the rear brake for you based on the settings that you input on there on the turns. So that will help you with going into the turns, coming out of the turns, and stuff like that. Electronics are getting absolutely insane, and to be honest, with this particular bike, or with all the new bikes, you absolutely need them, because the bikes are becoming so powerful, you know. Latest generation V4S is making 220 horsepower. If you put an exhaust on it and stuff like that, makes it even more. The R models are at 240. So these bikes are becoming so fast that you absolutely need the electronics on them, because most riders, they just, you know, don't have the actual skills. You're not a professional race bike rider or racer to be able to manhandle the bikes. From that standpoint, electronics are there to help you, obviously, and enhance the ride, makes things, everything easier, you know. But at the same time, it's a lot of the electronics, you know, essentially riding the bike. So that's why I myself sometimes like the older bikes, the more analog bikes, where everything is essentially up to you. You know, it just gives you more of a, I guess, more of a connection with the bike. So like I said, from that standpoint, it makes the new bikes easier to ride. I mean, you can literally have a brand new rider who just got their license jump on a brand new V4 or V4S, and they'll be comfortable riding that bike, because the bike has so many settings that you could essentially tame it down, you know, based on your skills. At the same time, if you want to go to the track, you can absolutely turn everything off, and the bike will be absolutely an animal. But you want to make sure you know what you're doing, because in a split second it can bite, and the last thing you want to go do is go down on one of these bikes, because like I said, carbon fiber fairings are so expensive. I don't even know if you can still find them. I don't want to even find out. So find a spot to pull up somewhere. Nice little GT3 RS in front of us. Two of them actually. Let's see if we can find a spot somewhere here to park. It's pretty busy. Might have to, oops. We might have to park on the other side because it's pretty busy here. Another Porsche, old school Carrera 2. Another turbo. This is like Porsche heaven. I think there was a spot here. There we go. Oh, there we go. We got another Ducati. Even better. It's a pretty cool bike, full-on carbon, V4S or something, I could assume. I like it. Very nice. It's funny, the last couple of times, every time I come here, there's always another Ducati. So, pretty cool.